And welcome back. Today we're gonna take a quick look at the Black Friday 2022 bundle and why I kinda advise you to just simply skip it this time around. First of all, thank you to all my Patreons and everyone looking to buy this pack, which I don't recommend you do. You get a 3% discount and you also get my decal with it, but I highly advise you to just kind of postpone this and see if you want to use it in the future. Why? I'll get into that in a second here. We have a few vehicles here. Very quick rundown. The only thing that's really worth it here is going to be the Black Shark. Sure, the M18 is okay if you like M18s and you want to play it, you play it a lot and you want the premium version, it's okay. But if you don't have any of these vehicles, this is not worth it. Sure, it's still cheaper than buying the K50 outright, but I think everyone that wants the K50 either already has it for a while, they already bought it last sales, which aren't even 2 weeks ago, or they're gonna buy it on the Christmas sales, which I kind of recommend you do. Although we don't really know how much the price is going to drop, it might be slightly more expensive, but buying this entire pack for the K50 is still going to be more expensive than buying the K50 outright when it goes on 50% off. We might look at 30% off in Christmas time, but we aren't completely sure yet. But let's look at the vehicles in game, because I know that most of you can't actually see them. And I will be starting with, you can't read it, god damn it, get out of the way, thank you very much, the P61A1. And you might think, well, I really enjoy flying the Black Widow, the P61C1, and man, I like to have a premium version of it, the same way as with the M18. The issue is, and you can tell by the stat card already, it's a hell of a lot slower, and you might think, well, the stat card isn't really that accurate, and you're right, they mostly aren't, but in this case, unfortunately speaking, it is. Let's look at the engine. We have 2200 horsepower and 2800 horsepower once we start using web. Let's look at this one. Lower than 2000 without web, and that's all you're going to get because it doesn't get web, and you're losing about 25-30% of your total power for only a 0.3 BR decrease. And you might think, well, it's a 3.7 vehicle, I'm gonna use this thing in ground RB. Well, you're kinda shit out of luck because you don't even get ordnance. Now sure, the A&M2s are pretty good at killing ground vehicles, but I think they're gonna be better picks here. I don't know really quick which one you would take, but I would say a hard no to this thing if you are a collector, if you like Black Widows, or whatever your reason is for being clinically insane. Feel free to pick it up, but don't say I didn't warn you. Now we have the second vehicle, which I just traded out because I'm an absolute dumbass, and then we arrive at the M18 Black Cat. Now this thing, if you are familiar with the M18 GMC, it's the exact same. Fuck, you didn't see those bushes, I'm allowed to run those, I am bad at the game. They are identical vehicles. The only real difference here is going to be the skins that you get, some decals that you get alongside it, and of course the lack of a muzzle brake. And if you are wondering what this thing looks like, I'll show you real quick. This tank, of course, lightly armored, highly mobile, decent gun, pretty good gun actually. And you're wondering why I'm skipping this thing? No reason at all. But if you like this kind of gameplay and you have the rest already for $9, sure, pick it up. It's a pretty good pickup, it's pretty decent, but to buy the entire... help, I need to... nothing to see here. There we go. It's really... you know, it's a tank. What can I say? If you have the rest already for $9, it's an okay pickup. It's a pretty decent tank, and especially if you already like M18s. But to buy the entire pack for it, I think it's a massive waste of money. Why? Well, mainly because of the next vehicle we are going to be looking at. And just to clarify, yes, it does have the exact same engine. Let's look at Britain. We are looking at the Black Prince, and it's slow as shit. It doesn't have the best gun, and well, let me tell you something. 350 horsepower at 50 tons. You might think, well, that's pretty shit, but Churchills are pretty slow and shit, right? Well, correct, but the 3.3 Churchill has the same horsepower, the same engine basically, and it's 12 tons lighter. So you can imagine that a Churchill that's already a pretty much, it's a shit brick, let's be honest here, with 12 tons on top of it. And then the issue is, the armor that you get from all that weight isn't actually worth it. Before we start taking a look at it, let's take at some skins, and let me actually take this off so you can actually see something. I could narrate it for all the blind people, but I think this is a little bit more convenient. So we have some basic camos. The real issue here is just all the armor that they slapped on it made it unbearably slow. Now, if it was actually well armored, that wouldn't be an issue. The issue is that it isn't. Let me show you what I mean. So we go to Germany. We go to a very common tank with a long 88. And of course you'll very much run into the Tiger 2P as well, which is a lower BR, but it has the same gun. So let's take a look, shall we? Do I have the right gun? The right shell, I mean. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So, frontal, easy pan. You angle, still gonna go in. And if you can pan here, you can pan here. You might say, well, just angle your turret. The issue is, it can always pan something. Now, let me show you from a little bit further away, because you might say, well, it's a heavy tank, it's made to snipe, it's made to sit in the backline and lob shells across the ocean, or something like that. 1.5 kilometers, boom, you're dead. Let's angle a little bit, you might say. Boom, you're dead. Let's angle a lot, you might say. Now sure, now it becomes quite a hard shot to pan here. The issue is, now sure, people aren't going to hit this very reliably. The issue is, they can also shoot your turret. And your turret basically always has a weak spot. Because if you angle it, you get blasted like that. If you look at him, I mean, it's not even a contest. And now let's reverse the roles, just for fun's sake. And yes, the 75 of the Germans also goes through. The difference is, it does it at a shorter range. So let's look at the King Tiger SLA. Where is it? There it is. It's the exact same as the normal Tiger 2H. Ignore the bushes, please, people. It's not there. There we go. See? I told you. The issue is I have to actually equip it, don't I? I lost it again. I am blind as hell. There we go. So I'm going to be taking... I'm so bad at this. I'm terribly sorry. Let's look at Britain. We go to rank 4. And we go and look for the Black Prince. There it is. Does it get its best shell? 177. 177. 190. Let's take, I think it's this one. Now what ends up happening? This is at 500 meters, people. You can't even pan the lower plate. You can only pan the machine gun port. And then you basically do no damage. You can of course take the gun down, but you're not really gonna pan anything at all. Now let's look at a shell with its most amount of penetration. Of course then you are gonna pan. The issue is then you're gonna do absolutely no damage. Of course you're gonna shoot shrapnel in a straight line, but that's about it. Now let's take a look in case I am actually using the wrong shell. I don't think I am. I don't know which one of these is better. Let's go with the pointy one because we're shooting at flat angles. Yeah. A little bit of an issue, don't you see? And now let's say that we are shooting each other from range. Let's actually take the shell with the most amount of pen, which I think is this thing. Yes, it is. Yep. So now you can't pen him anywhere. And he is just gonna lob at you until you finally die. Of course, this is gonna be in slugfest for 20 minutes. And no one is really going to get hit. The issue is this thing is just better in every metric. Of course, it's a higher BR. And with the Tiger 2P, it's less pronounced because you can actually penetrate the turret. But in general, really, it's not really recommended. And really, just to drive home just how slow this thing is, and I'm gonna give it its best case scenario. I'll let the engine warm up a little bit, 600 RPMs, nice and warm. Let's start driving. Now the good thing is, you will reach your top speed pretty quickly. The bad news is, your top speed is 17 kilometers an hour, and if you turn at all, it's like flying a Super Mystere B2, and you'll instantly lose everything. The nice thing is, you're so slow that you're pretty easy to shoot people in the move. But that's about when the advantages end. And look at that shot, I'm amazing, I should play tanks more often. So, 17 kilometers an hour on a paved road. What happens when you go into something like mud? Now, let me tell you, it is not an enjoyable experience. Of course, no vehicles are fast in this kind of setting. And then, technically, it only loses about 50% of its top speed, which is pretty good. But the issue is that you still only go 8 kilometers an hour. And really, if you go into the sand, your top speed ends up at like 14, 15. I think it's like 13, 14, sorry. But it's just not it. This is not a gamer mobile. And this is the kind of mobile I will happily jump out of on the highway. Not because it only goes 14 kilometers an hour, because I'll probably barely get hurt, but because I don't want to be in it anymore. I hope that sells it a little bit. But last and not least, let's look at the K50. Now, I don't think this thing really needs an introduction. It's the K50. It's of course worth the pickup, but what you can do is simply wait for the sales at Christmas, and you are probably going to be better off than buying it currently. Now, sure, if you're looking to buy all these vehicles because they're rare, you can do so. I just hope that by the end of the week, I don't get anyone buying this pack through my link. It is not worth your money, people. And as I said, I'm not going to be shilling for vehicles that aren't very good. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. Of course, the K50 is good. The M18 is pretty decent. But the black thing, what's it? The Black Widow is absolute garbage. The P61 A1. And the Black Prince, man, this thing is simply too slow. You are not going to get anywhere. And in up tiers, you are going to be beyond useless. You're not even going to get to the battlefield, and once you do, you're probably going to get heat shelled across the map. Of course, you can run this thing in your lineup, and if you get down tiers, you can be like, ah, Lamau, no one can pen me frontally. At least, not many people can. But that's about the only thing you're going to get out of it, and I don't think that's worth it. Sure, the gun isn't horrible, but the zero mobility, but not impervious armor, is kind of shitty. So, I hope I warned you enough. I hope you don't buy anything. I hope at the end of the week I don't get anyone buying anything through my link for this pack, because it's simply super mid. There you have it. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me all tomorrow or the day after with an actual gameplay video again. It's probably going to be the G56, so I look forward to that.